truth. This puppet show, it stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with lies and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on. Chosen just neglected, deflected by some breaking news. Or we just accepted, expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objectives, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic.
Hey folks, welcome to Truth Talk with Steve. Today I'm so excited to talk to this beautiful lady who I just am getting acquainted with myself, June Edward, and I'm so grateful you've taken the time to be here today. So thanks for being here, and how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You know, as I was reading last night a little bit about you on your website and all the books you've written, and you know, you are basically an expert at relationships, and you're also a psychic medium. And that's really the stuff that I'm very interested in, and really been, you know, I've been listening to a lot of different people over the last year plus as I've tried to, you know, focus on my spirituality and my connection to my creator after growing up in a religion for 45 years and then kind of finally seeing that for what it is, and breaking free from that. And you know, the freedom, and I can't even explain the difference in my spiritual journey, my spirituality as a whole, but also my connection with my creator. And that's something that, you know, we live in a world that is so crazy right now.
Well, we're in the process of a huge awakening, which,
Yes.
you know, be grateful that you chose to be here at this time. How exciting
I
it
am
is.
very grateful, but yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it seems like we're fighting outside forces. So
Yes.
we'll
Oh,
keep
yes. I
fighting.
told you Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, so we'll just keep fighting.
Mercury retrograde is a doozy right now.
Well, talk a little bit about that for those that are listening, and let's start there and talk a little bit about that and some of the things that, you know, that you're aware of that are taking place.
So there's always planets going retrograde. The things are always moving. The reality of it is everything is energy. Everything in the universe is energy. Our souls are pure energy.
Yeah.
And so we are affected by energy, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you like it or not, we are. When you walk into a wedding or a birthday party, you can pick up on that energy, right? That elevated energy that's in the room, that excitement.
Yeah.
And same as when you walk into a funeral, you're picking up on that lower vibration, that lower energy. So everything is energy. And when the planets are pulling and pushing against themselves, you know, it affects us as well. Same thing with, you know, the rising tides and water and the moon and the pull, the gravitational pull, because it's all energy and our bodies are 90% water.
Yeah.
So we feel all that, you know, we feel all that, and you have to navigate that. And what I do is I teach people how to balance their energy. You know, if you're not balanced, if you've got a full moon and you're going crazy, you're not balanced. You know, if you're not balanced, if you're letting everything that's happening in the world affect you right now, because there's a big energetic shift happening. And obviously we're in the middle of a war against, you know, evil and good right now.
Yeah.
Everything in the universe has to stay in balance. This is why you have the day and the night. You have left and right. For everything has to be in balance. And when it's out of balance, there has to be a shift. And it's been out of balance for a very long time. And this is why you're seeing the big shift. And it plays out politically because we're in a 3D world, and politics is what rules power in this world. That's the only reason you're seeing it play out in a political arena. Okay.
Yeah.
But it is literally evil versus good that's happening in the world right now. It's not contained in any one continent or in any one country. This is a worldwide event that's happening, and it's huge. And, we all planned our lives before we came here. So everyone that's here right now, you chose to be here during this event for some reason, whether it was to make a larger impact on the people that are here. And as much as you think that you're not making an impact, every one of us is like a pebble thrown in a pond.
That's
And
so
that
true.
ripple effect that keeps on going out and going out, everyone affects more people than they could ever realize, even on a daily basis. You go into a grocery store and the girl's ringing up your groceries. You could be the person that makes the difference as to whether or not she goes and jumps off a bridge on her way home or decides she's going to stay and give her marriage another chance. You don't know.
Yeah.
You really don't know. So it doesn't cost anything to be kind. Be
That's
kind,
so true. And that's, I
you
mean,
know.
that's really what we've lacked and what we need is,
Well, and it's the
kindness and
holiday
love.
season on top of it. It's a very difficult,
Difficult,
stressful time for a lot of people.
I'll
You
say.
don't know what individuals are going through. Just be kind. What's crazy is that, I love the movie Avatar when it came out because that's what we really are. We are not the suit that's sitting in front of you. We are the soul, the energetic soul that's inside.
Yeah.
And we're here, it's like playing a part in a movie. That's all we're doing. We're here playing a role, and you're here to have a 3D experience, and that's what you're having. So you really need to take things a little bit lighter, a little bit less stressful. And what I do is I teach not only how energy works and how the universe works, but how to get in touch with your soul, because that's who you really
That's
are.
bingo.
Yeah. So, we all have this body. This is what we're dealing with here so that we can enjoy this environment and this lifetime and this role that we're playing here. We have a brain in our head, most of us, right?
Most
Our
of us.
brain, yeah, our brain is nothing more than a giant computer. That's all it is. And it
So
helps you
true.
process the information that you get.
Yeah.
But your brain has a primary thing that it's supposed to be doing. And your brain's job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So most people are making their decisions based on fear. And
Yeah.
when you do that, it's literally a crapshoot. It's a 50-50 shot if it's going to work out, and you're always going to question your decision. So when you learn how to get in touch with your soul, that's that knowing. That's that everybody has had something in their life that they have just done because they knew it was the right thing to do. They didn't question it and it worked out fine. That's your soul. When you make decisions from your soul, it is the right decision 100% of the time, and it will work out fine always.
No, that's
That's how.
interesting. And that's part of why, I've really been on this journey myself is because that's what because of how complex and the fog of war can be so crazy and hard to really decipher who's who maybe, or the things that, or maybe the beliefs that you're starting to have based on information you've researched and received. But because I think it's not that I'm not willing to truly trust anybody, not anybody, but out there that
Trust
I'm
your
listening to.
soul.
I want
Trust
to,
your
yes.
soul.
And so
Trust your
that's
soul.
why 100%. So, as you were mentioning that, I was thinking, okay, there's certain things I feel I have a knowing, but yet I still, I don't,
You
maybe it's
want
partially
you
that fear, but I'm not 100% confident
So you want,
in
it's
it.
nice to have justification. It's nice to have, not
And
justification, but what's the word I'm looking for? Confirmation. It's nice to have
yes,
confirmation. So it's like when I work on a missing person case or something, and I'm
uh,
giving them all the information, and I don't hear from them for months or whatever. And all of a sudden I get something saying, oh my God, I forgot to tell you, we found them exactly where you say. It's nice to get that confirmation. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't get it.
uh-huh.
But I have to know that what I'm giving is 100% of what I'm getting. And
Gotcha.
that's a mistake that a lot of mediums don't make, even psychics don't make, because we have an ego in this body. And
Yes, I
yeah,
find it every day.
exactly. And when you're doing things to fulfill that ego, it's the wrong reason, bottom line.
So true.
And many, many people are doing everything to fulfill that ego. And you know what other people think of me, that's their issue. I don't care.
Yeah.
If, I've been called everything under the sun, crazy, a
Yeah.
charlatan, of this, or that. Guess what? You don't need my help at this point. Then when you need it, you'll come back.
Yeah.
But, I don't hold back information because I'm afraid I might be wrong, or I'm afraid that somebody's going to think I'm stupid. I
Yeah.
have to give what I get. Crazy one. I had a very large event. I used to be a platform medium where I would get in front of 200, 300, 400 people with an audience. And, I would call on people in the audience and give them messages. And I called on a guy in the front row and I said, I always ask who they want to talk to. I don't bring through people randomly because I could be there all day long trying to guess who it's for. So I asked him who he wanted to talk to. He said he was a widow. He wanted to talk to his wife that passed. I'm like, okay. So I have them call him in their head. And, I described the person that showed up. I'm like, all I'm getting is someone holding up what looks to me like a prom dress. And I'm hearing prom dress. This is all I'm getting. The guy starts bawling his eyes out. He's
Wow.
like, oh my, I'm like, it makes no sense to me, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, that's my wife. He goes, that was her saying every time she left the house, I'm off like a prom dress.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I've seen so much of those types of things that, I mean, do I comprehend or understand how you have that ability? No,
It's
but I really
energy. So
believe
you
in it.
have to,
Oh, yes.
so it's like I died when I was 27. Okay. I went to heaven and I came back here by choice. I had never even heard the term near-death experience,
Yeah.
NDE. I didn't even know what that was until actually only like a couple years ago. Never heard of it,
Wow.
right? I always said I died because I know I died.
Yeah.
Scientists call it an NDE because they can't quantify it yet. They cannot
Exactly.
repeat it themselves at this point, although they've tried. And this is the reason they call it an NDE. Okay. But eventually they'll figure it out because our energy, our soul, which is pure energy, when it goes into the light, this is where quantum physics comes in.
Yep.
Speed of light is over 300 million miles a second. And this is how fast our soul can travel when it's not in our body because it's just pure energy. And when my soul came back into my body, it's not traveling that fast any longer, but it is still at a much higher vibration than most people's.
Yeah.
So that's what I attribute my ease and ability to be able to connect instantly to the other side. And I can go back and forth to the fifth dimension because that's where most of our soul is located anyways. Our soul is way too big for the body that it's in. Okay. So we stuff some of our soul in our body, and then people talk about the aura that's over your body. Some people can see that. That's part of your soul that's right outside your body. And then the rest of your soul, which is quite a bit of it, is in the lowest level of heaven, which is the fifth dimension. And that orchestrates the timing of all the events that happen in your life. And when you learn how to connect with your soul, you're connecting with that part that's still in the fifth dimension, and you can start accessing all the knowledge that you've had in all of your lifetimes.
Yep.
It's absolutely incredible.
Help me clarify this, maybe, because I'm wondering if I'm misunderstanding. Because I've heard, in fact, it was just recently I heard someone talking about, the soul separate from consciousness. Because
they're one and the same.
That's what I thought.
Your soul is your consciousness.
That's what I figured.
So, but
I just heard recently that like 70% of it, which sounds like what you're talking about, isn't, with us in this avatar.
Right. It's
okay.
Right. It's in the fifth dimension.
Yep. That's fascinating.
And what's interesting is when you go to sleep at night, if you're not connecting with your soul during the day through meditation, when you go to sleep at night, your vibration actually rises. Yep. And more of your soul leaves your body and
travels. It go to the
astral
a lot of time? The astral plane?
It can go wherever it wants to go. And it can go see other people. Okay. So you can, even if you haven't passed to the other side, the part of your soul that's in your body now can still go visit other people as well, have conversations with them, all kinds of things. And it's a visit, not a dream, because it feels real and you wake up immediately and you remember it. You remember it. So it's a visit. It is not a dream. Same thing from the other side. If they're trying to get a message through to you and you're not paying any attention to them, then they will come through into your dream because they lower their vibration. Your vibration is rising. You meet in that 4D dream state in the middle. And
Wow.
that's where most mediums connect, is in that space. But because my vibration's already higher, I can go, they come, it's crazy. I see them here and can
Really?
converse with them here. Yeah, I see them sometimes I don't know if they're real or they're just, or if they're a soul, if they've got that much power that they can completely transform. It's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is there any worry or difficulty as far as, you know, I've heard other people talk about mediums, or maybe that's not the right word. Maybe it's different. Maybe it's the same. You can let me know. Or people that channel. Is that different?
Same thing.
Same
So
thing?
people have different techniques. So when you are so for instance, a lot of times I'll bring through someone from the other side. Okay.
Uh-huh.
They have so much energy. They talk so damn fast. I can't even repeat it. So I'm not really channeling them. I'm just letting them come through. So I am channeling them through me, and I'm just talking. I'm just letting them talk through me. It's just a
Uh-huh.
lot faster than me trying to repeat what they're saying, because some of them have so much energy and they talk so darn fast.
Wow.
And other ones don't. Other ones, it's like playing a game of charades. They have taught me a very extensive list of things that have certain meanings for me
Okay.
to be able to get a message, but some things I don't know. So for instance, if I see a plastic pocket protector on somebody, I know they either thought they were a geek in this lifetime, or
Yeah.
they literally were an engineer, or they could have been a geek, one of the three. So I would have to ask the person, because they know them, I don't. Was he a geek? Was he an engineer? And then, they might show me something that really has no meaning to me, like a white Cadillac. I need to know from the person, did they drive one? Were they hit by one? Do they sell them? Did you have one? What's the connection with a white Cadillac? I
Yeah.
don't know. And for me to get the rest of the message out of them, I kind of need to know where they're going with it.
I see.
Other than that, I don't want to know anything about it, because I don't want people trying to give me information or lead me. I get my information from the
Right.
other side, not from the person in front of me.
Or is there any ever issues with, any negative energy and negative, beings, demonic type of issues or
So as a rule, I don't work with them, and I keep myself protected so they're not coming through when I open up. In fact, I teach meditation, and that's one piece that most people are missing. They're not protecting themselves before they're opening themselves up to the universe. You have
gotcha.
to do that before meditation, so that you're only letting in from the light and you're not letting any dark entities in.
Gotcha.
However, they've given me quite the education from the other side, and I've had to be exposed to evil. I did do a house clearing in Connecticut years ago from a woman who had moved like 12 times and had a demon that was attached to her family. And I did call a paranormal group to go in with me to record it and film it. And, as she's showing us her child's back, bite marks are appearing at the same
Oh,
time.
crap.
And I could see this demonic entity, and I
Really?
chased it around the house, and it was swearing at me and growling at me. And I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, you guys can't hear that? And they're like, no. So I'm like, stop, turn on the
Wow.
recorder, see if it's on there. Sure enough, the recorder picked it up,
Isn't that
swearing at me and
fascinating?
growling
Wow.
at me. Yeah, I could hear it.
That's
And it was
unreal.
afraid of me, because it knows I've been to heaven, I've been in the light, and I make
You've
it
got
very
that.
clear
Yeah.
that that's who I'm coming with. I come with the angels, I bring God with me, and that's
Yep.
it. So they run.
Yeah.
And anytime they don't want to put up that fight. They want your body if they can get it. The demonic entities do. They'll attach to you if you're out, like at a bar or something like that. That's why alcohol used to be called spirits, because it lowers your
Oh,
vibration and
wow.
it allows them to get into your body. So
That
they
totally
start as
makes
an
sense.
attachment, and I see them, it looks like they're piggyback riding a dark shadow on your back. And
Gee.
then they whisper in your ear and they make friends with you until you let them in, basically. And that's where you have a full demonic possession. And I have actually had two students that have ended up in full demonic possessions because they did not follow my program. They did not protect themselves, and they allowed it. And one of them was sitting there drinking with his wife instead of, following the program.
Gotcha. Okay, so that leads me to a question because what are some things that would allow maybe demonic energy to be attached to you? The reason I ask this specific is I've got four boys. My youngest had been sick for quite a while, wasn't sure what was going on. And I've got a friend who he was a doctor in Mexico. He's moved to the States and he does alternative stuff and energy work. And he reads the eye and could tell. I mean, it's fascinating. He's done it to me months back, but I didn't tell him anything my son was experiencing. And whatever he uses to read the eye, he literally nailed everything symptom wise that he was struggling with. But he also let him know that there was some demonic energy.
Right. So
How
when you learn how energy works, you
uh,
can pick up on it very quickly. Just like I said, when the difference between walking in a funeral and walking into a party, you notice the difference in the energy. So when you're very sensitive to energy like I am, I can pick up on things immediately. And I can do the same thing. I can scan someone's body even at a distance and kind
yeah,
of tell where they have issues or problems in their body. It's really crazy.
I know.
But yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, so there are, I mean, if you could see one of those movies, The Night of the Living Dead, that's what it's like. They're all walking around all over the place.
But
And you have lower vibrational, I call them low vibrational, they're just ghosts, okay?
right,
But where one ghost is, more will gather.
right.
Okay, so you can't keep them around. You don't want them around. And once you've got more ghosts there, then you bring in demonic activity because they feed off the energy of the ghost.
Okay.
And then they start getting you afraid and they feed off the energy of your fear. So
Interesting.
it becomes a collective.
So is there things, and this isn't to, I'm just transparent. I would ask my son if he was sitting right here. I believe I know
Something.
the type of kid he is, and I have my beliefs on what might allow that to have happened,
So keep in mind that if you have a good heart, and
which
if
he
you
does.
have maybe a higher purpose in this world, you're a target.
He can attack more, yeah.
You are a target. I've been attacked. As much as I protect myself,
Uh,
I also have worked on, I worked on a lot of different things for paranormal authors and for paranormal groups. So they'll send me pictures and photography and I interpret what I see in there.
uh,
And, I was sent a picture of a scribing bowl once and they did not tell me that the building that they were doing the investigation on had been owned by a sorcerer in the 1600s.
oh, wow.
And as I'm explaining to them what I'm seeing, I did not protect myself with like a salt circle or anything like that because I had no idea. And I was being attacked by this sorcerer who's been dead for 400 years, right? They have more energy
Wow.
on the other side than they do here.
Right.
And I immediately, within 10 minutes, I had a full-blown sty on my eye that was closed up that took over a month to go away. It was
Wow.
that fast, that fast.
That's
Yeah.
unreal. So tell me if I'm off track here. And it doesn't matter other than I love my kid and I want, if there's any insights I could give him that would help him, great. And if
Okay.
he's fine and they've got some things to figure out, but my knowing him the way I do, but I'm not naive either, that there's things I probably don't know, of course, but I'm thinking because I know what he does spend too much time doing. And, you know, it's basically playing these damn video games that
Right.
20 people are addicted to, is that
So a lot of that, it's not good stuff because it
right?
lowers your vibration. Bottom line, anything that's
Yeah,
lowering your vibration is not good. Drugs, alcohol, mundane stuff like that. I mean,
yeah,
if he's doing something for a limited amount of time, that's good hand-eye coordination, that's different. But when
right.
you're just zoning out for
Yeah,
hours, that's not good.
right.
Okay. But I also recommend that everyone wear some type of religious symbol. Okay. Whether it's, I have a Kundalini because it's the medical
Like
insignia.
that. Yeah,
Or you can wear, it's under here, or you can wear, it's the Kundalini with the medical insignia with the snake and everything on it. Because I'm medical alert, I'm allergic to what killed me when I died when I was 27. So I
yeah.
wear that. But you can get a cross, you can get, an Archangel Michael medal, anything like
That's
that.
cool. Yeah,
Have it blessed by a Catholic church and wear it. So what happens is when they're hunting around because they're looking for someone because they really want a body, they don't have a body. They're going to see that and they're going to say, let's go to the next one. Because if you're showing that you have some power there, some
yeah,
religious, some faith, right?
yep.
Then they don't want that fight. They'll go to the next person and they'll prey on them.
That
And it's
makes
the
sense.
same thing in your home because they're walking around the streets. the souls that are stuck here can't move any faster than you or I because they haven't gone into the light. So they'll literally get in your car in a red light and go to the next one. They'll climb on the bus like everybody else, but they'll walk right in your house. And if it looks comfortable, they'll make themselves at home. So I tell everybody the same thing. Every room of
That's
your
the
house should have something, a cross, a statue, an angel, something. And that will make them uncomfortable enough that they'll leave.
Wow, that's good advice for sure.
Yeah.
Well, so you were 27 when you had your near-death experience?
I was, yeah.
You mind telling us a little bit about that? What
Yeah.
happened?
So I was born, first of all, I was born with a lot of ability. Okay. I was
Yeah.
very psychic as a kid. I was a medium, didn't know it because I was a kid. I would wake up in the morning and I would hear voices and think it was my parents and go in and they're fast asleep. I'd come back in my room and then I'd start seeing faces in my room and I'd try to hide under the covers and then I'd see, the sun coming up and the shadow of a face over my, it was very scary as a child.
I'll bet.
And then when I was 10 years old, my parents split. My dad actually kidnapped the last 5 of us. I didn't know my mom was a medium at the time. He just told us she was crazy.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I would do the dishes after dinner every night. And there was a woman, probably about the age of 45 or 50, who would stand there and keep me company and chat with me every night. I just assumed everybody saw her.
That was
I didn't
normal,
know.
yeah.
Exactly. So I asked my brother one day who she was, my older brother, and he starts laughing his head off. I'm like, what's so funny? He goes, that's the dead woman that used to live here. Her husband killed her. He threw her down the basement stairs. And it scared me so much. She must have felt it because she never came back again.
Wow.
And then, I used to tell the kids in school what was going to happen, what was coming up, and you get labeled a freak really quick.
Oh,
So I
for sure.
stopped. I was a wreck as a kid. I would bite my nails and I had facial tics and, all kinds. I'd stutter. It was bad. I was a wreck. And I blocked it the best that I could for most of my life. However, if someone died and they were even an acquaintance of someone in the family, they would come to me immediately. And I'd tell them the next morning, I'm like, hey, John Smith died last night. No, he didn't. I just saw him yesterday. I'm like, I'm telling you, he died. And sure enough, they would find out that he had died.
Wow.
So then as I got older, I was really intrigued with it. I would read all the mystery books, Anne Rule, I loved her stuff. And I hurt my back when I was 20. I got married at 21. I hurt my back at 22. And found out I was pregnant right after. So they couldn't do x-rays. They couldn't do much of anything. And it was bad. I spent the last 3 months of 2 pregnancies in bed. And then they told me if I wanted to have any more children, I had to have my back operated on because my disc was going to blow up and they'd pick out pieces. And I just knew if I had the surgery, I was going to die. I'd known that. And
Wow.
I put it off for 5 years. And still, before I went in, I told everybody, I said, listen, I really think I'm going to die. And they're like, oh, no, you're just afraid. You'll be fine, blah, blah, blah. So the night before the surgery, I went in for an MRI with a dye test. And I told them, I said, listen, I think I'm allergic to this dye. I had it once before. I had a really bad reaction. And they're like, oh, no, that's what happens to everybody. Don't worry about it. What do I know?
That's a
I'm not the
trippy when
doctor,
that happens. I've had that happen. It trips you out.
I'm not the doctor.
Yeah.
So as soon as they injected me, I coded. That was it. I was gone.
Jeez.
And I immediately, I didn't see a tunnel of light or anything else. I was gone. I was in heaven immediately.
Wow.
And I could see everything that was happening in the entire hospital. I saw the nurses talking about it at the station. At the nurses station, I saw the crash cart come in. I saw the doctor over there, they tried injecting the line, nothing. They tried using the paddles, nothing. I saw him tip the table up and start slapping my face. I didn't hear anything, but he's like, we can't lose you. We can't lose you. And in the meantime, I'm having a full life review. I'm watching.
That's pretty normal.
It's actually not. When
Really?
I found out, so I started researching quantum physics and NDEs because I'm planning a TED Talk. And less than 10% of the people that die get to the level that I got to.
Oh, wow.
And have a full life review. And, I don't know if they were showing me that for me to make the decision, because as I'm having the review, I'm hearing that it's not my time. I can stay if I want to, or I could go back. It's my choice. And my life review was literally everyone that I'd loved, everyone that had touched me, or anything that brought me joy. It was incredible. It's like watching this big IMAX movie in front of you.
Yeah.
And it took me a little bit. I really had to think about it because I didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing on the other side. And the feeling over there is just, it's pure love. The only two things you take with you is love and knowledge, and you access all the knowledge of all your lifetimes when you're there. That's why when you connect with your soul, you can access more of that. And the only reason that I came back was for my children, because I knew that they were the biggest part of my plan for being here, and that I was supposed to be here for them. And I actually hadn't had my third child yet. So, when I came back, I ended up having my third child within the next couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've listened to I've read a lot of books on indies, but also, I don't know if you're familiar with, you probably maybe even been on the podcast, The Next Level Soul. Have you heard of Alex Ferrari? I don't know if that's how you say his last name, but
No, but I'll look for them.
yeah, there's a lot. It's basically
Yeah.
tons of just NDEs, and they're very,
Oh, wait a minute. I think I did just book
fascinating.
with him. I actually
Yeah.
did just book with him. Yeah.
He hasn't been doing, I bet, a couple of years, and his podcast just blown up.
Yeah. So a lot of people that come back commit suicide because you
Really?
come back into this
Is it
lower
so-
well, you come back into this low vibration and
After
you
experiencing
want that back. And so anybody that's listening to this that has had an NDE and is feeling like they cannot get that back, you can learn how to meditate properly, and you can get that feeling back every day, all day long. And that's what I do. And I'm a huge proponent of it. I have proper instructions on how to meditate in every one of my books to help people learn how to get in touch with their soul.
Well, am I
And
glad to be talking to
absolutely,
you, June, because
it
that's,
raises your vibration. That's the
Yeah.
fastest way to raise your vibration, is to get in touch with that soul, because
you
most
can-
of it's in the other end. Most of it's not
Yeah.
here.
and literally as you, the right word isn't perfect, but get better and better at meditation, like you said,
It's
that's how you can
cumulative.
get that, you
The
can get that
effects are
experience, because you
cumulative.
can get to the point of feeling in that bliss, right?
Absolutely. The effects are cumulative.
Yeah.
And I recommend that everyone meditate for 20 minutes a day, 3 times a day, because especially when you're starting out, it's going to take you 18 or 19 minutes to actually connect with your soul.
Are you tired of paying exorbitant monthly fees for your in-home entertainment? Do you wish there was a way to bring quality and affordable entertainment right into your household without a monthly subscription? Well, look no further. Introducing the VC Box Android TV Stream Box. Since 2020, VC Box has been enriching people's lives all over the world, and now it's coming to North America. Say goodbye to scattered subscriptions and countless apps. We've got all your streaming in one place. This is the best fully loaded Android TV box provider in North America. Our user-friendly interface makes navigation a breeze, and with the voice remote featuring Google Assistant, finding your entertainment has never been easier. The VC Box V2 Pro Android box is the epitome of convenience. Sit back, relax, and enjoy your favorite shows and movies with just a few simple voice commands. And the best part, no monthly subscriptions. That's right, you heard it correctly. Say goodbye to those pesky recurring fees and hello to endless entertainment. Join the VC Box revolution and elevate your entertainment experience. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity. Visit our website and order your VC Box now. Bring home the VC Box today and bring endless joy and excitement to your household. VC Box, unleash the power of entertainment.
It's going to
Yeah.
take you that long until you get proficient at it.
Well, I'm your next project. I'm
But
gonna
it
get booked into
is-
your stuff, because
It
that's
is cumulative,
do.
because
Right.
even though so what happened now, you would think that my abilities would have opened up again immediately, but they did not, because there is a plan. We planned this life before we came here.
Yep.
And I still had a lot more things that they were going to put me through before that was going to happen, because it's the old adage, you have to walk a mile in someone's shoes, right?
Yep.
If I hadn't gone through all the things that I had gone through, 2 divorces, miscarriages, losing children, being kidnapped, all this stuff, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to actually relate to other people that have been through those things, right?
Yep.
So I was going through my second divorce about 10 years ago and having difficulty in my businesses, because I've been in business my whole life, and I was running 5 businesses at the time. and I was making decisions out of desperation from my head. And I knew they weren't going
Yes.
to work out because I needed bodies, I needed employees, and of course they weren't working out.
Yep.
So I went to a Reiki practitioner to have some relaxation, and she recommended that I meditate. And I'm like, there's no way I can meditate. My head doesn't want to shut off. But sure enough,
That's
the
the
first
story that I
time,
listen
yeah,
to and fight.
yep, the first time that I meditated, it was like they kicked the door in from the other side. And my abilities opened up 1,000 times stronger
Wow.
than when I was a child. And I
Wow.
was working in my businesses at the time, and one of them was a very high-end day spa, and I'm a medical esthetician. So the first woman that came in, I'm doing a facial on, and I'm like, this is really weird. I'm like, did your aunt pass away recently? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know that? And I'm like,
Right.
I have no idea how I know that. I said, did you clean her house out recently? She goes, yeah, last weekend. I'm like, oh.
Wow.
I'm like, did you happen to find one of those sock puppets from the 50s that looks like a monkey? She goes,
Oh,
yeah, in
wow.
the attic. And I'm like going, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me, right?
Crazy.
Well, this just continued. The next one that came in, I'm like, listen, I don't know what's going on with me, but something's really weird. I said, and I'm suddenly getting all this information. So I'm like, if you don't mind, I said, you have 5 Christmas trees up in your house? Because it happened to be around the holidays. And she's like, yeah, I do. I
Well, that's a
said,
big house.
you have 2 of them that are white. They're all white with just white light. I'm like, that absolutely good. She goes, you've been in my
Wow.
house? I'm like, no, I swear to God, I have not been in your house. I said, I have no idea how this is
Freak her
happening.
out.
I'm like, you've got a 5-year-old daughter, right? She goes, yeah. I said, you got to the Barbie house for Christmas? You've been in my house. I said, I swear to God, I haven't been in your house. I said, I know what you got your husband for Christmas too. I told her, she's
Oh,
like,
but she is freaking
He's
out.
like, you have been in my house. I swear to God, I've not been in your house. I swear to God. Then the next
Wow.
one that comes in, I'm like, listen, I don't know what's going on here, but it's really freaky. I said, so just kind of roll with it if you can, okay? I'm like, do you live in like a little blue cape on the water? She's like, no, I live in a big red ranch. I'm like, oh, good, maybe it stopped, right? So we start talking. I said, you're really worried about your husband for some reason, huh? She goes, yeah, it's the first time he's traveled without me. I said, oh, he's fine. He'll be fine. But I'm trying to keep the conversation light.
Yeah.
She leaves. She comes running back in the room. She goes, oh my God, look at this. Look at this. She pulls up her cell phone. There's a message from her husband. Look, I found our new house. It's the blue little house on the
No
water.
way.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh. Wow.
And then it continued. The next one came in through the door and she had a guy follow her in full uniform. So I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, are you by any chance a widow? She goes, yeah, my husband passed away recently. I said, was he in the military? She goes, yeah, he was. I said, oh, okay. I said, if he had a message or anything for you, would you want to know
Boy.
about it? And I wasn't even trained at this point, but I know not to give anybody information if they don't want
That's
it.
right. They have to
And
ask,
she's
right?
like, no, I really would not want to know. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, this guy's standing next to me through the whole service, and I'm in my head saying, I'm so sorry. She does not want to know you're here. She can't. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do, And he's like, oh my God, I miss her. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I was freaking out. I was looking for anybody that could help me turn this off because I
Right.
didn't know how to. I'm waking up the next morning. I got 40 people around my bed again. I'm like,
Holy
no.
cow.
And thank God, I did. It's the old adage, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Mhm.
And I found people to help me learn how to control my abilities, how to turn them on, because you're always in control. I am always
Yeah.
in control. And my education then just took over from the other side, and I just spent a lot of time in meditation getting information from the other side. Yeah.
So fascinating.
They're always teaching me every time I do anything, whether it's a reading, it doesn't matter. They're teaching me constantly.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, because I know there'll be some people in this audience that, are in religion and, possibly some have never even been exposed to the whole past lives situation. So let's talk a little bit about that and just kind of your understanding of things and,
Well,
what the purpose and how.
I think just about every religion talks about past life in some form or another. There's there's thousands of religions. I want to say there's like 1,700 religions in the US
Yeah.
that are recognized. There's thousands of them around the world. And of course, everyone thinks they're right and everyone else is wrong, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
You know, your belief system is based on what was drilled into your head or what has happened to you, right?
Yep.
And growing up, I grew up in an extremely dysfunctional family. My mother was raised Protestant, as was my father, but my mother was searching because she was a medium. So she took us to all different churches, Baptist, Episcopalian, Protestant. I was the only Catholic. I was the only Protestant at a Catholic school for second grade. And my sister was Hindu. So I was exposed to a lot of
Wow.
different ways of thinking, and I have a lot of friends that are Jewish.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, I grew up thinking that it was all a bunch of hooey, to be honest with you. And these people riding around with little statues of Mary, or they're in the bathtub in their front yard, or rosaries. I'm like, right? So what I have learned is that they are all right. They are all wrong. There's a lot of truth in every religion, and there is a lot of non-truth in every religion. Pretty much every religion has been twisted and turned to the benefit of the person that was translating. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they tell you what they want you to be told, and people interpret things their own way. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
Remember that every religion is a business.
100%.
100%.
Yep.
I mean, I've been asked to leave. I was asked to leave my church, okay, because they didn't like a rumor that went around. I was asked to leave. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been told at my son's Catholic church, don't get up and take communion, Mom. Oh, that's right. It's supposed to be inclusionary, right? Yeah. Oh, but
Right.
exclude everyone else, right?
That's
If
right.
you weren't baptized or drowned or whatever it is. I mean,
It's ridiculous.
you know, they do, but they all serve a purpose, okay? They serve a purpose.
Yeah.
And if their purpose is to gather people together, okay, number one, that's a good thing because we're all here to help each other. That's
Yeah.
number one. If they all talk about a higher good, whether you want to call it, excuse me, whether you want to call it God, source energy, Judah, Krishna,
Yeah.
whatever you
Whatever.
want to
Yep.
call it, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, when you get to the other side, you're going to realize there's only one. There's only one. Heaven is very different. I've seen what heaven looks at like from a distance, and I've only gone to the fifth dimension, which is the lowest level of heaven, and that's also where the Akashic record room is kept. So every religion pretty much talks about a book of life. Every time you're born, your name goes in the book of life. And that is what the Akashic records are. They are each individual's book of lives.
Yep.
And all of your lives are in that book. And I got there by accident the first time. I was training and I was in a deep meditation. And when you come out, you explain what happened. And I'm like, I don't know. I was in this place that was absolutely amazing. And it was all white and filled with light. And you know, I asked where I was, and they said I was in the Hall of Knowledge. And I'm like, well, I'm all about learning, so tell me more.
Yeah.
So they took me over to what was like a tunnel that went around and down into the ground full of books. And they brought me a book and let me go into a side room. And when I opened it, again, it was the 3D movie, like my life review. And it was my life, some of my lives. And I'm just looking at it amazed. I'm like, oh my God. So I learned that was the Akashic record room. And if you get there by accident, it means you're meant to be a reader. You're meant to go there. So now I can go there instantly. And you can only read someone's records if you have their permission. And you're not allowed to read anyone's records under like the age of 18 because it could change their life. So what people don't realize is there's rules on the other side just the same as there are rules here, because you have to have order kept.
Yeah.
And people have jobs and things to do on the other side. God delegates. And the reason for that is because everyone has to have purpose. And it gives your soul, it fulfills your soul when you have purpose, no matter whether you're
true.
here or whether you're on the other side. It's very fulfilling. So we have, I mean, not that you can't do whatever you want on the other side. You want to go vicariously shop at Lord and Taylor's with someone, or you want to go vicariously fish with someone. That's what you do. They live through us vicariously on the other side and really enjoy life and go do things and see things that they didn't have the opportunity when they were alive. But they still have, things that they need to do, whether it's, educating themselves or helping other people learn things. You learn much faster on this side than you do on the other side, and you learn faster here within relationship as well, because we're here to help each other. Okay.
Gotcha.
And that's what my book is
Fascinating.
based on. My latest book is All's Fair in Love and Karma, and it talks about the 5 lessons that your soul are here to learn. We come here for a bunch of different reasons. I
Uh-huh.
found that we reincarnate, so time only really exists here. It doesn't really
Yeah.
exist in the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
So I found that our time is about 3.5 years to 4 years of 1 year in heaven. And they wait about 350 to 400 of our years before they come back again. They wait till everybody that they knew and prodigy are gone before they come back
That was gonna be
again.
my next question. Yeah, how do
Yeah,
you choose
I mean,
when?
and there's exceptions to every rule. I was trying to bring
Uh,
through a girl that was a murder victim, and she passed when she was 10, and I couldn't bring her through, and I've been able to bring everyone through. Her family members came through to let me know that she reincarnated almost immediately, and she was in a body again on Earth.
Interesting.
And that's
Wow.
why I couldn't bring her through. So there's exceptions to every rule. There's nothing hard set, and I don't have the answers to everything, but they've given me a lot of answers to
Yeah.
lots of things.
So based on
Um,
your information, do we incarnate and come back to learn different things to help us
so
continually learn and grow?
our soul, this is the 5 lessons that our soul is here to learn. But we come here for a mini vacation, first of all, because on the other side, you don't have a body, you can't smell, you can't taste, you can't have sex, right? So we come here to enjoy being down here in this avatar body, and we forget that as we grow. Little children know, they trust, right? And they have fun,
Yeah.
and they know all their needs are going to be taken care of. Well, if you
So true.
trust the universe, they will make sure that all of your needs are always taken care of. Okay.
That's so true.
So the lessons that we come down here to collect karma from people that owed us from previous lives that didn't make amends, and to make amends to anyone else that we
Clear
wronged
karma,
and
right? Yeah.
didn't, right, to do that.
Yeah.
So try not to create anymore. But the lessons that we're here to learn, the first one is self-worth. And self-worth is not value. Value is what other people place on you. Self-worth is the knowing that you are so important, that you are the only one of you on the entire face of the earth. Imagine that they thought they needed you here. Okay. And it is not selfish, and it's not narcissistic to put yourself first. It's where everything else
Yeah.
comes from. If you can't
You
put
have
yourself
to.
first and take care of yourself, you're not
Yeah.
going to be here to take care of anybody else, are you?
Amen.
No. Okay. So you have to learn how to put yourself first. And that includes your happiness. No one else can make you happy. Happiness is an inside job. And when you're happy, you'll ping pong off everybody else. And it's something else that raises your vibration. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have trust and communication. And it's trusting that you are here for a reason, trusting that you made this plan. So whatever is happening in your life, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you, for your highest and your best. Okay. Just because you can't see it because you're in the thick of it, wait a little bit, you'll see it. And it's trusting that, there is a higher power, there is a God up there, and trusting the people that are around you, and communicating your wants and your needs. So if you can't communicate your wants and your needs, no one's going to know. They don't know by osmosis, right?
That's right.
And you have to trust somebody enough to be able to communicate those needs to them. And sex is just another form of communication. If you cannot communicate outside the bedroom, you're not going to be able to communicate and trust in the bedroom, are you?
No.
Right? Then you have unconditional love. And unconditional love does not mean you play the martyr and you stay in a bad relationship because, I have to love them unconditionally. No, that's not what that means. This is where it reinforces the other lessons and the self-worth kicks in, right?
Yep.
Unconditional love is saying, we had a good run. I'm grateful for you. I love you and want the best for you, but it's not working anymore and it's not bringing me joy. So you go your way, I go mine. That's what it is.
I think that's a big one.
It's not
Yeah.
beating them down and taking them down and forgetting
Right.
that, you were there to learn a lesson. Okay. Same thing if you had a child. Suppose you had a child that you love and they do something horrific, like murdering a neighbor in rage. They may go to jail for the rest of their life, and you don't like what they did, but you're still going to love your child, right?
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
unconditional love.
Yep.
Then you have money and balance. And just like evil plays out in politics,
Oh boy.
balance plays out with money in this lifetime. Money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And there has to be an even exchange of everything. Okay. It has to be something of value. If you're giving somebody something for free, it has no value to them. They're not going to
Yeah.
appreciate it. It's that simple. I have my 7-week mastery program. I gave it to a couple of military vets that were having difficulties when I first started out. Neither one of them did the program because it had no value to them.
Exactly. They have nothing invested.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was heartbroken because the two people that could have really benefited from it,
Yep.
and they didn't do it.
That is a big lesson. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And
Yep.
it has to do with everything in the universe staying in balance. You have to give to get. Okay,
Yeah.
that's how it works. And before we used money, there was a barter system, which some people still use, and that's fine. It can be a kind like exchange as long as it's of equal value. Okay.
Yep.
And then the last one, which is very difficult for people, is patience.
Oh.
We live in a world right now where everyone wants instant gratification, and it doesn't work that way. How foolish would it be if it
Yeah.
did? Every 6-year-old little girl wants to get married like Cinderella and have children, right? Well, good luck with that on your doorstep at 6,
Yeah.
right? No. It happens when it's supposed to happen, when you planned it in this lifetime. And that means if you're waiting to get married and have children and your little time clock is a ticking, maybe you didn't plan it until later in your life. Maybe it's going to show up when you're 40 and you're going to end up marrying a widow and raising their children. Who knows? You don't know what you've planned, and you're not supposed to know for the most part. And the reason is this: if you knew everything that was going to happen in your life, you aren't going to get out of bed the next day, are you?
Yeah.
Why bother?
Right.
You already know, right?
Yeah.
Even me, they're not going to give me information that I'm not supposed to know. I have a really good feeling of lots of things that are happening, but I don't know everything because I'm not supposed to know. Just like people's big joke, oh, you're a medium. Oh, okay. What's the lottery numbers? How come you haven't won
Yeah.
yet? Because
Right.
I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
If I'm supposed to win the lottery numbers, I'll have them. And quite honestly, it's really funny because about 8 or 9 years ago, somebody asked me for lottery numbers and I gave it to them and they won.
Oh, wow.
Because they were supposed to. I'm not.
Yeah.
And if they weren't supposed to, then they wouldn't have won on those numbers.
I
You
agree
cannot
100%.
change. They're not going to give you information that's going to change your life in a direction that it's not supposed to go. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
That's very interesting. Wow. Man, there's just well, let's talk about that then. I mean, obviously you mentioned there's ways you feel, and again, I don't expect you to know everything, and I know you don't, and you will tell that. But with, there are a lot of people struggling big time, frustrated, and I'm not asking this from a political standpoint either, because I believe what is going on is just like you. It's a spiritual battle. It's unfortunately, like you said, looked at by so many as a political situation. It has nothing to do with Trump, Biden, any of that, in my opinion. It's good versus evil, just like you said. So, I mean, what is your just opinion on where things are headed? And,
So like I said, I think we're in the middle of a great awakening right now.
Yep.
And my hope is that people will start to go inside a little bit and start looking at things from a higher perspective and get in touch with their soul, learn how to meditate. It's not going to hurt you to learn something new.
Right.
Okay. And you may be shocked and surprised. So the law of attraction is real. Energy is real. Higher authority, source energy, God, it's real. Angels are real. Angels are a completely separate race. They were never human. Their entire existence is to help us. But if you don't know that, they can't help you. And you have to ask. That's
Yeah, you
their
have to
rule.
ask.
You know, I can't tell you how many times my faith has been shaken because maybe things aren't going the way I would like them to go, or they're taking longer than they should. And they're famous for this. They take my diamond earrings and they're in my ears. I never take them out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I'm golfing one day and the wind took my hat and I thought, I didn't realize my earring was missing till I got back into the clubhouse. I'm like, oh my God, my earring's missing. And I'm thinking it must have come out when I was on, the third
Yeah,
hole and it's probably out there somewhere, right? So what am I going to do? Right. I don't even
yeah,
remember where I was on the third hole. So I went back, I meditated, I prayed to St. Anthony. I said, listen, I said, I understand these are, I would never be able to afford to replace these earrings. My ex-husband bought them for me. They're beautiful. They're ring
yeah,
quality. They're very expensive. I said, I get it. If there's somebody out there that is getting married and can't afford an engagement ring and they're going to find this, and that's the reason that they're getting it. I completely get that. I said, it's not going to change my life. It's not going to make any difference in the world if I don't get it back, but it does bring me a lot of joy, and the
yeah.
memory of them is really special to me. I said, so if there's any way you can bring them back, I'd really appreciate it. Now, mind you, I was staying in an Airbnb at the time. I stripped the place. I went through the bed thinking maybe I fell there
Wow.
somewhere, nowhere, didn't find it anywhere. Got up the next morning, went to the bathroom. I'm sitting on the toilet. I look down and there it is.
Unreal.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And this has happened multiple times, just as crazy. So
Wow.
he always comes through when I ask, but they're doing it on purpose just to show me, June, we're still here.
That's cool.
We're still here. We hear you. Don't worry. And it's just reinforcing my faith. And they do it every time that I'm
Wow.
faltering just a little bit. They come through. Time after time, I'm telling you, it's crazy, the stories that I could tell you, but they make a point of it. And they usually do it with St. Anthony.
Wow.
But they are here. And, it's just like, you can't see the forest for the trees for the most part. And that's most people. Okay.
Yeah.
I can remember sitting in my car one day because the angels will talk to you through binary code and numbers and symbols. So if you're not looking up the symbols and you don't have a clue, and you're not looking at the numbers or the code they're giving you, you don't have a clue. And I'm sitting in my car one day and I'm feeling bad for myself. And I'm like, really, guys, I haven't heard anything from you guys in ages. It's been like a week. I've got no contact from you, nothing. And I'm in traffic and I did not move an inch. And I looked to my left and I noticed the telephone pole number was 5656, which is 1111, which is the angel
Yep.
number. And then I noticed
That's
on the time was 222, twin flame number.
so
And
that's
then I
what
looked to my left to the mailbox. The mailbox was 330. I'm like, oh my God, it's me.
so
I'm not paying attention.
so
It's
there is
me.
something I have heard this, and I'm trying to pay attention now as I'm starting to learn a little bit of these things, because I am seeing the same numbers consistently.
Yep. So
Whether
they're
it's
trying
waking
to
up in
get
the
a
middle of,
message to
yeah,
you.
whether it's waking up in the middle of the night and seeing my clock up there, and it's whatever it is, 333 or 222. I mean,
Yep.
that's
So
happening
my
constantly.
first book, A Night on the Other Side, teaches meditation and everything that I used to teach in my classes, but it also teaches you what the angels' meanings are and things like that. And I can't, Doreen Virtue, she used to be the foremost authority on the numbers from the angels.
Uh-huh.
And her book is out of print. If you can find it, it's about $100. She put out, so what happened as part of her journey is she stopped conversing with the angels. She married a strict Catholic who told her what she's doing is evil. And she put another book out to counteract her first book.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But her first book, her numbers book, Doreen Virtue, those numbers are very accurate as far as the sequence of numbers and different binary codes that the angels are using to try to get messages to you.
You've got binary codes, but is when you say numbers, is any part of that gematria?
What is gematria?
Well, where they list the numbers, like A is 1, B is 2.
No,
None
No,
of
that, no,
Okay.
no, it's just strictly numeric code.
Gotcha. Okay.
But they'll also send you messages. So anything that's out of the ordinary is a message from the other side. And it could be from the angels, it could be from your guides, it could be from a loved one on the other side. I had a whole herd of a flock of turkeys go in front of my car one day, and I had a whole herd of deer. My dead stop. I had a whole herd of deer cross in front of my car, like 5 feet in front of my car. Those are messages. So you need to go to the internet and look up the spiritual meaning of that.
Oh,
And
wow.
when you look at it, it's just incredible. There'll usually be 2 or 3 meanings. The meaning that resonates with you is the meaning that is for you.
For you. Gotcha.
Okay, just like this talk that we're having right now, there's thousands of people going to be listening to this talk.
Yeah.
You may not resonate with anything that I'm saying. What you resonate with of what I say is what's meant for you to hear.
Yeah.
That's how it works. There's always something there. Nothing is random. I used to do daily readings on YouTube when I first started out, and I would tell everybody the same thing. I'd do them all live on Facebook back then, and I've had maybe 100 people chiming in, and somebody said, well, how could that be for everybody? It's not for everybody. Everything that I have to say, there's going to be one thing at least in there that you're going to pick up that's going to resonate for you, and that's why you're listening, because that's what you need to hear. That's how it works.
True.
They always make sure that the message is coming through somewhere, but you have to pay attention to get it. Because it's like breadcrumbs. They say hindsight's 20/20, right? Everybody can look behind and see how everything in your life has brought you to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right?
Yep.
Well, it's the same thing going forward. They're trying to put you on the path that you're supposed to be on. Okay. So if you can pay attention and stay on the path you're supposed to be on, your life will be absolutely amazing. Or you could do it the hard way and struggle and, get there a lot slower than you're supposed to, or maybe in the next lifetime. Your choice.
Which is kind of what I believe this rat race is being created to keep us in that. And as you talk about the reawakening, a lot of people look at that as, different things. I personally, and I believe there are multiple meanings to that, but to me, the main meaning is reawakening to who we are.
That and getting in touch with your soul, because that's
what I mean. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And the whole war of good and evil is about your soul. That's what the devil wants, is your soul.
Yeah.
The same as God wants your soul.
War is.
The whole war is over
100%.
your soul. That's it.
100%.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's what I say. Reawakening to who we are and understanding that's who we are. I'm not Steve. I'm not what I see in the mirror.
Exactly. It's interesting because when I've done like the 3 family that I chased the demon around, when I went into that house, these souls were in this house before the demon got there. The basement was full of Irish immigrants that came over during the potato famine. And I'm not sure why they crowded into that house, but they found it as a safe place, and energy is collective. So it's just like anything else, right? They think people crowd together, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they were doing. And the demon was feeding off their energy, and they were afraid to go into the light. So I went down, I'm in the basement, and I'm telling them all to pay no attention to him, that all their family is in the light. They can see the light. And I moved them all into the light. There was over 100 of them.
Wow.
But this is what is happening. And the more souls they collect, the more power for them, right? Because they're feeding off of it. And it was the same thing in the attic. It was Italian immigrants that had gathered in the attic of this property. I did a VFW years ago that was very haunted, and they wanted to know what I saw in the attic. And I'm like, this was the Underground Railroad. It's full of Black slaves, young children, and injured people. And I had just started out, so I didn't know about moving them into the light at that time. But they went back there because it was a safe place for them when they were alive.
Wow.
That's what they did, because that's what we know unless we go into the light.
Wow. That's so interesting. So are you actively, or are you still engaged with, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you help solve crimes, things like that?
I am. I did a missing person case a few weeks ago. For the most part, I help with anything that I can help if someone contacts me.
Yeah.
Because they were sent to me, and that's how I see it. Everyone that finds me was sent to me for a reason.
That's, yeah, everything you've talked about definitely resonates with me. There's just, to me, this is just so
Yeah.
fascinating.
And I mean,
I think,
I'm human like everybody else. I'm not a superwoman or
absolutely.
anything else. So,
Right.
maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea sometimes. All I
Yeah.
can do is give the information that I get.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'll find out, unfortunately, one of them wasn't alive at this point and had to locate the body. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure down the road I'll hear what the situation is, but I can
Right.
only do what I can do.
What you're supposed to do. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Well, man, this has been fun. I can't believe an hour has passed. Seems like it's been like 10 minutes.
It goes quickly.
It does, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested in talking to you and digging into some of your books. And I'd love to have you come back. If that'd be all right.
Yeah,
That'd
absolutely.
be
I'd love
awesome.
to. Yep. And you can
Great.
get all my books on my website, excuse me, juneedwood.com. Yep. The All's Fair in Love and Karma is
Uh,
also available at all the bookstores. It hit #1 bestseller.
that's
It's available
awesome.
in audio as well. And people can schedule appointments with me online. I still do appointments, even if you're not in the US. I do work by Skype and Zoom in the UK and Australia.
Oh,
Um,
great.
Yep. So I do
Okay.
that a lot as well.
And then I'll have your information, your website, some of your social profiles in the show notes. So folks, if you're unable to write down that information right now, don't worry about it. We'll have it in the show notes. Is there any final words you'd like to leave before we wrap this up, June?
Love your life. You're here for a blink of an eye. It doesn't
Jeez.
it doesn't cost you anything to be kind to anybody. Be kind. If you don't have anything nice to say nothing.
Yeah.
Say nothing. Just,
Yeah.
zip it and say, you know what? That's that.
Yep. That is one to live by for sure. So
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to doing this again and pretty soon. So
Fantastic.
thank
All
you
right.
so
Thank
much
you.
and have a Merry Christmas.
You as well. Thank you.
You got it. Take care.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow. Towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. This is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work.
The new MyPillow towels are exclusively made with 100% USA combed cotton with proprietary technology and with maximum absorbency. They dry you faster and are guaranteed to work.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow. And to thank you for all your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you get my dog beds for as low as $19.99. Or for a limited time, you can get my 6-piece towel sets, regularly $109.99, now only $39.99. The lowest price ever with your promo code.